Good evening, everyone. My name is Eveline Kolijn, and I'm the printmaker who worked with Aritha van Herk on her story Deep Cold on 11A. I am very pleased that I was teamed up with her and looked forward to read her story, which proved to be great. When I first read the story, it was beautifully written. I was also daunted. It was such a multifaceted, rich story with so many characters, so many objects, that I thought, how can I capture this in a way that's also really represents the spirit of the story? Because it is a series of vignettes all about people in the past and in the present who live on this one street in Calgary, and through their lives there's also a lot of Calgary history that's being revealed. So that was a real challenge. 2 years ago I did a residency in which I explored folding and folding forms and created prints on folded shape that I was really very pleased with. And so I thought, well, there are so many facets in this story. What if I would actually create a bookwork that is just one single page with these folded facets where each facet is actually like a page in a book? I thought that was a good idea. So when we arranged the studio visit, she immediately liked it a lot and she was very enthusiastic about it. The structure of the idea was settled reasonably quickly. And of course, then it was up to me how to translate it. So I documented the street with photos. And there's a lot of history there. So I also did internet searching on the person of Senator Patrick Burns, on Louis Bernier, who loved the Louise Bridge. And I started sketching whatever you fancy. I scanned them in my computer and I started arranging the sketches on the architecture of the print, because with the folds there's a certain zigzag structure. I really needed to fit the images on the folds in a manner that if you would fold the paper, you're not creasing through the center of an essential part of the image. Another thing that I had learned creating visual images with using folding or mathematical structures, which I've done before, is that the use of symmetry is pretty important. So therefore there's a lot of mirroring of the elements. Otherwise it becomes too confusing and difficult to read. In the meantime, I had asked Aritha to select from her writing 24 to 30 short paragraphs or sentences that were going to be the parts of text that I was going to reproduce on the print. And I wanted to be surprised by her choices. Her choices turned out to be a lot of quotes that talked about this deep cold and this layer of winter when everything is silent and everyone is huddled inside, and at the same time this blanket of cold silence also covers all these threads and things that happened in the past that sort of still work their way into the present. I had planned to make one image on the past and the other image on the present, but now I decided to make one image featuring the houses in the street and the other one the objects and persons in the story. Then I would deconstruct both images into zigzags and reconstruct a bigger new image, alternating the elements and zigzags of each story. I traced the drawings, I transferred them onto linoleum, and as you can see, I started cutting into the lino. And in order to really see your cut marks well, I sort of inked it up with blue so I could see where I was cutting the lino. And then of course comes the moment where you pull your first proof, which is great. And at that moment I also cut up the lino in the zigzag strips. And at that time I actually could really see how the end image was going to look when I sort of alternated the pieces from the houses with the object and what I was later to call the ghosts page. Yeah, and then the final part was to format the text. First, I had to format the text and see whether I could fit the text on the diamond shape of the folding structure. I printed that text out on a transparency as a digital negative, which I exposed on a photosensitive plate. I could cut the plastic and repaste it on linoleum zigzags, so I could actually roll that up and print that on the lino. I always envisioned that zigzag print was sort of the end piece. When I started playing with the folding and also by actually needing to fold these creases really tight, I sort of noted the accordion effect where you can really compress it to a flat strip and where you can pull it out as an accordion. I thought, well, maybe I should make actually something like a book cover for the flattened strip. I made the slipcase also out of bookboard and reprinted my lino print on Japanese mulberry paper, which I used to wallpaper the exterior of the slipcase. I guess the cherry on the cake is that I also could print the title and our names on the cover on the back. All in all, I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I also took a few risks in using type this way on top of a folded print. I had not done that before, so the project pushed me to, try out a few things. It was wonderful to work on a story that was based in Calgary and to make a Calgary based print. And at the same time, it was wonderful to work with Aritha. She has such a busy schedule. She has been traveling so much, but she always, we communicated very well along some distances here and there. And each time we met, it was delightful. So thank you, Aritha, for writing a wonderful story and being such a great collaborator. And I also want to thank Carrie and Lisa for thinking of this project and also the pairing you did between artists and writers. What I've seen in the other projects has all been fabulous. So thanks for listening to me, and I hope to meet you some other time in person.